Halloween is supposed to be about fake horror, but for the people in these stories, the terror was anything but pretend. We're counting down the most tragic, bizarre, and unforgettable deaths that actually happened on October 31st, proving that sometimes the scariest part of Halloween is reality itself. The Master of Illusion's final curtain. Our first story is so steeped in irony, you might not even believe it's true. This is the legendary Harry Houdini, the man who made a living by looking death directly in the face and simply walking away. He famously escaped from sealed water tanks, constricting straitjackets, and was even buried alive, only to emerge unscathed. This was a man who seemed like he literally could not be killed. But on Halloween night of 1926, his incredible luck finally ran out. Just a few weeks earlier, on October 22nd, a college student approached Houdini backstage and asked him if it was really true that he could withstand any punch to the stomach. Before Houdini could properly brace himself, the student began wailing on his abdomen with a series of forceful blows. Houdini was already dealing with a painful fractured ankle, but he tried to play it off like nothing happened, even though he was in a ton of pain. What he didn't know was that those punches had likely ruptured his appendix. What's even crazier is that he continued performing for days, battling a rising fever and insane stomach pain. On October 24th, he literally collapsed in the middle of his show in Detroit, but still managed to get back up to finish the performance before he was rushed to the hospital. Doctors delivered the grim diagnosis. He had severe peritonitis from the ruptured appendix. For a week, the man who had cheated death over and over again fought for his life, but the raging infection was just too much to overcome. Harry Houdini died on Halloween, at just 52 years old. The greatest escape artist the world had ever known couldn't escape a random, fateful punch, making his last trick the spookiest and most tragic one of all. A silent star's final scream. Next, we're heading to Hollywood for a story that is absolutely and utterly insane. Meet Ramon Novarro, one of the first huge Latin American movie stars, a Latin lover icon who was as big as Rudolph Valentino back in the silent film days. By 1968, the 69-year-old actor was living a quiet, retired life in his Laurel Canyon home. On October 30th, 1968, the night right before Halloween, he invited two young brothers, Paul and Tom Ferguson, into his house for the evening. The brothers had heard a completely false and destructive rumor that Novarro kept a giant pile of cash hidden somewhere in his home. When Novarro insisted to them that there was no money, they began to torture him for hours, trying to find a treasure that didn't even exist. They brutally tied him up with an electrical cord and beat him so badly that he ultimately choked to death on his own blood. To cover up their heinous crime, the killers then trashed the house to make it look like a random robbery gone wrong. And you will not believe what they got for it. They finally fled with only $20 they found tucked away in his bathrobe pocket. Just $20. A beloved star that millions of people adored died a superlatively violent death and was discovered on Halloween morning, all for the price of a cheap meal. His murder was so horrific it felt like something ripped from a grim movie script, a brutal and senseless end for a true Hollywood legend. The Nightmare in Quebec. This last one is deeply terrifying because it just happened a few years ago. On Halloween night in 2020, the historic streets of Old Quebec in Canada were packed with people. But walking among all the costumed trick-or-treaters was a real-life monster, hiding in plain sight. A 24-year-old man named Carl Girouard, dressed up in a full medieval costume and carrying a very real katana-style sword, started attacking people completely at random. For almost 2.5 hours, he roamed through the city streets, turning a night of festive fun into one of total, abject panic. And the craziest, most chilling part? At first, witnesses thought he was just a prankster or an extremely dedicated street performer. The screams of his victims were mistaken for Halloween fun. By the time police were finally able to locate and arrest him, he had murdered two innocent people, 56-year-old François Duchesne and 61-year-old Suzanne Clermont. 5 other people were left seriously injured from the rampage. The attacker later confessed to police that his mission was to kill as many people as he possibly could that night. It's an insane and horrifying reminder that on Halloween, the person behind the costume might not be pretending. Sometimes the monster is terrifyingly real. If you think these stories are as crazy and disturbing as I do, be sure to smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next video, where we continue to dive into the dark side of history. So there you have it. An escape artist who couldn't escape his own body, a movie star murdered for just $20, and a real-life rampage killer hiding behind a Halloween costume. These stories prove that the true horror on Halloween isn't found in the ghost stories we tell or the haunted houses we dare to enter. It's in how terrifyingly thin the line is between fun, fake scares, and a devastating reality. It's a night that shows us the scariest things aren't what we imagine in our nightmares, but what is actually real. Please stay safe out there.